talking today. That is how to become a leader in your business. So the master class of today is how to become a leader in your business. This is a very interesting topic that I'm beginning to share here to the audience because I come from a background that I worked during 35 years in the oil and gas. And this is me because maybe you don't know me, but as I said, I was a former 35 years oil and gas executive. I was a CEO of Circo Petroleum here in the U.S. In November 2017, I went through an unfortunate situation that I was kept hostage. I went to a business meeting in Caracas, and it resulted to be a settlement. There was having some issue between the U.S. and Venezuela. But by that moment, and we were caught in that situation, and I became an international hostage during 5 years. So this is part of my background, my corporate background, and the situation I went through. And today, as I said, we we have been extensively working with the hosted community. I'm sharing here several photos we have been involved in this community today. And I have been giving speeches in the Congress. I did a speech in the UN, and we have some mural with faces of the international hosted that we have today here in the US. You see here these famous basketball player, Brittany Griner. She's part of our community. And today we have several murals around the U.S. that are trying to raise the awareness of the hostage situation here in U.S. In Washington. We have one here in Houston, and we have one that we unveiled recently in Denver. This is my family. This is my family. This is my family. That I'm a grandpa. I have my grandsons. So this is me. And let's begin to talk about what we're gonna be doing today about the how to become a leader. One of the classic questions that always you have is the leader born or is the leader made? This is a very, very interesting question. Wait a moment, somebody is asking to go in. Sorry. Okay. So this is a very classic question: if the leader is born or if the leader is made. There's many interpretations about this, and some people say that the leader is born. Some people say that the leader is made, and the right answer is, I think, both are true, because most of you can know people that they are true leaders as they are born. Young kids that from the early stage are leaders in their pack, in their group. So there are people that really are true born leaders. They have that in their nature. But the good news is that the leader can be made. A leader can be formed. A leader can be nurtured. And part of this type of training is exactly to show how a leader can be prepared. So this is part of this training. So let's begin to deep dive into all these situations. So let's begin. What are the main characteristics that an authentic leader has to have? This There can be many. There can be many, but really, really, these are the core characteristics that a leader has to have. A leader has to have basically four things. These are like fundamentals of a good leadership. I'm going to name the fourth, and I'm going to begin to explain what each of them is. The first one is a leader needs to have a high self-awareness. I'm going to go back about what that means. A leader has to have integrity. A leader has to have empathy. And a leader has to be committed to the personal growth. Let's go in each one of them. What is a leader having a high self-awareness? A true leader had to recognize that he has a strengths, but at the same time he has weakness. A true leader really had to be humble, recognizing that he doesn't have all the answers. Because sometimes, and maybe some of you have had a boss like that, that they think they have all the answers, that they always have they are right. So who wants to be with a leader like that? Who wants to be with a leader that always is saying that he is the only one that is right, and he doesn't recognize nothing? So that true leader has to have that strong characteristic, has to be vulnerable, has to be humble, has to recognize that he has a strength, but at the same time he has weakness. Why this is so important? Because this make the difference between a real leader and not a real leader. Because if you're a real leader and you recognize that you have some weakness, is because you want to be with people that can teach you. Because if you don't have the answer, your team can have the answer. Because remember, you don't have to be an expert in everything. You're going to have expert there. So the good leader is that he gets surrounded with people that have the expertise, and he can be nurtured with them. So this is one of the basis of a good leader. The second basis of an authentic leader is a leader has to be with high integrity. This is so important. A leader is a model. A leader is like the father of a family. So if you're a leader and you don't have integrity, who is going to follow you? Can you imagine you working in a company where the leader of that company is not doesn't have ethics, doesn't follow the rules, or are violating principles? Who is going to follow that leader? Maybe you can stay there because you need the money, but you're not going to follow that leader. You're not going to recognize him. So having a high integrity is something key in a good leadership. The third thing is the empathy. A leader really needs to be with high empathy with employee. What that means? That means that the leader has to understand the difference between the others. He has to recognize the other. He has to, even a leader, if he has to take strong decisions, because at some point the leader need to take strong decisions, and some of these decisions can affect people. But if you have empathy in transmitting and communicating with them, and putting in their shoes, in their feelings, the people can understand better this type of leadership. I'm gonna put an example that I went through when I was working in the oil and gas. During my career, I had to work in several international joint ventures, and I work with several cultures. I work with Italians, the Chinese, Japanese, French. I work with British, American, and Norwegians, and several cultures, different cultures. But there's one of these cultures that I truly recognize that they have something that is embedded in their culture. That is the Japanese culture. I don't know if you're aware about the Japanese culture, but I can tell you, the Japanese is one of the most empathic culture that you can have, because as an example, the Japanese have in their culture something they have two things that are part of the Japanese culture. One is called the wa, and the other is called the nawamashi. The wa is the harmony, and the nawamashi is the meaning is kind of complex, because it's like a digging in the ground looking for the roots. So that really means that they want to understand the others. So If you are familiar with a Japanese culture, or you know any Japanese, you will convey what I'm saying. A Japanese in a company, even if he's the leader, he will never take a decision if the others are not convinced of that. So he always will try to validate with their peers or with their colleagues, with their employee, before taking the decision, because they want to really bring the people and take a strong decision. Sometimes they delay in taking the decision, but at the end it's a strong decision. This is a wonderful example of what empathy is. When you put in the shoes in the other and not in that I'm in the authority and you're gonna do what I'm saying. You recognize the difference, you recognize their point of view, and you try to put together, and that is part of the empathy. Another point with a leader is the professional growth. A true leader is a guy that is having a professional growth with their employee. Uh, a true leader, when is committed with the personal growth, is not only him growing, it's the people there with him. So a true leader always trying to train the people, are trying to give opportunities to the people, and then the people then can think that they can grow. So these three characteristics really conform what is an authentic leader. But not only that, there are some key traits of an effective leader. I'm going to mention the five of them. Most of them are part of what we saw today. A true leader has to be a visionary. A true leader has to be a good communicator. A true leader has to have integrity. A true leader, as I said, has to have empathy, and a true leader has to have decisiveness. Decisiveness. So, what is a true leader being a visionary? You know, the visionary in the leadership is the guy that has a clear of mind where he wants to go, who is clear what are the goals, who is committed to comply with the goal, to follow a plan. So it's like the light in the middle of the night. It's like the compass in a ship when it's navigating in the sea. So he is guiding and he is inspiring. So that's why a leader has to be a visionary. You can see the great leaders of the world, and there are a lot of examples. But guys that have changed the world have been guys that really have been visionary. And I'm gonna say some great leader here. Maybe you can agree, maybe you can disagree. But Elon Musk, can you imagine the leadership of Elon Musk? Is he a visionary or not? This is a clear example of a guy that, for me, this guy is of another planet. He's from another time. He's a true visionary. He's seeing things that nobody's seeing them. So that's part of being a visionary. A true leader has to be a great communicator. A true leader really has to be a great communicator, because if you are a true leader, I was giving like a briefing about what first, who am I? And I was talking about what are the four things that are the true characteristic of what a true leader is going to be. Let me do a quick recap to the people that are joining now. So a true leader has to have self-awareness. A true leader has to be interior. A true leader has to be with empathy with the people, and has to be committed to the personal growth. Very quick. The self-awareness is having the vulnerability to recognize that he has strengths, but at the same time he has some weakness. So the integrity is being an integral guy, have strong ethics, and he's gonna be the model for his team. And the empathy, I was putting an example of a great empathy, because there are some cultures that have that really embedded in their culture, like the Japanese culture. They have a strong empathy with the employees because they will never take a decision before they don't have everybody aligned. So a true leader always is trying to get on board their team. So that is part of the empathy, recognizing the difference, recognizing the opinion of the other, and try to put in their shoes. That is part of the empathy. And a true leader also is committed to the personal growth. Okay, the personal growth of him and for the employee. I can say something here. The true leader is the one that he shines, but he wants his team to shine, because you can see a lot of examples. The people they want to shine alone, and they don't want their team to shine because they believe that if they shine alone, they're going to be great, and that's a wrong. That's wrong, because a true leader, if all his team is shining, he is going to shine more brighter. So these are something key with a true leader. So we were talking now about the key traits of an effective leader. You're going to have to give me chance. There are going to be a meeting people that are trying to go to the meeting room. I'm so sorry about that. To the people that are joining, there was some problem technically with LinkedIn, so I had to be admitting the people manually. So it's gonna be back and forward. So I truly apologize of that. There have been some problem. The people cannot be connected because for some reason LinkedIn didn't open the connection. So well, something happened. Okay, so okay, we were talking about so that the key things characteristic of a leader. So talking about the key traits of an effective leadership. So we were talking about that a leader has to be a visionary guy, has to have strong communication skills, has to be integral, has to have a strong empathy, and has to have decisiveness. We said that the visionary is having the mindset to see things ahead, to have clear where he wants to go. He wants to he understand what is their goals, how the goals are aligned with their plan, and he is pushing the people to keep going. So this is the true leader that inspire the people to go beyond. It's like the light in the darkness. It's like the compass in the of a sea in the middle of the sea. So he is guiding his people. Communication. Communication is refer of having good communication skill is so important, and is key. By the way, this is something really key to the people. A true leader has to be a strong communicator. It cannot be no good leader if it's not a good communicator. So this is something that's totally correlated. That's why today most of the leaders even become speakers. There are true leaders that become great speakers because they are not only communicating to their teams, they became storytelling. Today, one of the greatest things that in companies and establishing a brand is that their leader become true storytellers. So they inspire others. Anybody can think about great brands that their leaders uh, tell the story how they created their brand and they really inspire others, and that is beyond their company. That's a great communicator. And another thing in the communication is having not only talking with their employee, is hearing them. So it has to be a dual communication. Okay, so a good leader has to have a strong communication skill. Integ- Integrity. Well, we're talking about this. Is unimaginable a leader that is it doesn't have integrity. So this is something that is embedded in being a leader. A leader has to be ethic. A leader has to be the model. The leader has to be the model of his team. You cannot imagine a company who his leader is not a model, that he's sneaking in things, he's violating the norms. And, sometimes they will think that the people will don't know it. But I can tell you, between heaven and earth, everything always is known. So a true leader always has a real integrity. the empathy. We were talking about here how it's so important to be empathy with employees, because it's not only that you need to understand the employee, but you need to be in their shoes. You need to, even if you're taking strong decisions, you are doing with empathy, thinking in the others. And let me tell you, you can maybe have to take strong decisions, but if you do it with empathy, the people will recognize it. Maybe they will not accept it, but they will recognize it, and they will appreciate you being empathic with them. And I was then putting here an example in some cultures that have that embedded. That I was talking about the Japanese culture. I had the opportunity to work with Japanese, and I can tell you that truly they took this really serious. Try to understand if they're taking a decision. If somebody doesn't agree, they will always go to you to see why you don't want to take the decision. They truly care of their people. Sometimes they delay taking the decision, but because they care. So this is a wonderful example. And the fifth trait is the decisiveness. So a leader has to have that gut, has to have, like we say, the balls to take the decisions. Sometimes have to be strong decision, tough decision, but the leader has to take it. A leader cannot be procrastinating. A leader has to be, when the decision has to be done, do it. So he's the true decision maker. All these five traits cannot be imaginable. A leader if doesn't have one of them. You cannot be a leader if you're not a visionary. You cannot be a leader if you don't have communication skills. You cannot be a leader if you're not integral. You cannot be a leader if you don't are not empathic, and you cannot be a leader if you're not a decision maker. So really, these are really needed if you really want to be a true leader. And now we're gonna talk about what is the benefits of all what we have been talking in a leader. So one of the greatest benefit of all these we were talking, the characteristic of a leader, is that will increase the employee engagement. If you have a leader that is empathic with their employee, that is creating a great environmental in their work, make a very good workplace, is taking care of the well-being of their employee. He's a great communicator. He's a great visionary, and he's a strong in his decision. And the people, he inspired the people. Do you think that people are going to be engaged or not? So this is key. If you follow that rules, you're going to have your employee engaged. That is like an equation. And having employees engaged, the consequence of that is that you're going to have an improved performance. The people are going to give the extra mile. The people are going to be more committed. I'm going to put an example also that I lived in my previous life, that when I begin to work in the oil and gas in Venezuela, I began in 1985, back to the 80s. So I come from a third generation of oil and worker, because my dad worked in the oil and gas, and my granddad, and my grandmother, and my mother. So I have three generations of oil worker, and my son, by the way, also works in the oil and gas. So we are four generations of oil and gas worker. Venezuela, unfortunately, today, the people maybe are not aware, but at that time, that was the PDVSA was the fifth oil and gas company in the world. And Venezuela was, by that time, the second oil producer of the world. So uh, mm, working in PDVSA was really a big deal. But what was the key? That's not the case today. But what was the key thing there? That they care so much to their employee, and the employee were so engaged, that they didn't call the company PDVSA. They call it my company. Everybody talk about my company. The people really believe that company belonged to them. So can you imagine working in a company that your employee feels that the company belongs to them? That is an engaged employee. And that employee, of course, is going to do anything to improve, and that will improve the performance. Having engaged employees, having employees that are enhancing the performance, do you think the employees are going to stay or are going to leave? So that will enhance the retention of the employee. Not only the retention, the talent acquisition, because now the word of mouth is going to spread the message that this is a great place to work. And by the way, today there are ways to measure that. Everybody knows companies, they are great companies to work. Everybody wants to work there. So not only the people want to stay there, that people really will want to join that company. I can tell you there are many studies they have done during years related to comparing companies. You can have a company A and you have a company B. Company A is a great place to work, treat very well the employees, they train very well the employees, they take care of the employees, okay? But they're like a second tier of salary payment, budget things. And then you have this another company that maybe is a first tier in salary payment, but they don't take too much care of the employee. They're always thinking in production, and they don't thinking in the people. So I'm gonna make you a question. Which company do you really think that people want to stay? Even if this one you're having higher pay, believe me, the people will try to stay with this one, with the first one, because they will say, even that the salary is a little bit lower, I feel better. They're treating me better. I'm having more time for me. I'm having a career path. So all these things will enhance the talent acquisition. That is not only money. It's not only money. It's taking into account all these things that I'm telling you. And if you have engaged employee and you have enhanced performance, and then you people want to stay there, what will happen with that company? The company will be more adaptable to the changes in the changing world, because the people will be more focused in making creative solutions. So making that this way, mention a leader, you're going to be prepared for the changes. Let me repeat here about the benefit of the effective leader, because there was a leap that maybe it was missed. One of the benefits of effective leadership, I'm going to repeat it again. You're going to increase the employee engagement. It's going to improve the performance. It's going to be retain your talent, and the people will be more adaptable. If you have all these techniques that we were talking about in the leadership, definitely the people will get more engaged. That will improve your performance. It will enhance the talent acquisition and the retention, and the people will be more adaptable. So this is one of the benefits of the leadership. So, being a good leader, you become a transformational leader. Because why? Because you're going to be doing three things. You're going to be more committed to embrace the changes. You're going to be more, have more emotional intelligence. And then you're going to be inspiring to your team. So being committed to embracing the changes is because you will look for the opportunities to grow and to improve. So anything that will help you grow and improve, you will be ready to make any change that are necessary for that. So a true leader is someone that is really ready to embrace the changes. A true leader has high emotional intelligence. What that means, that he can manage effectively the emotions of the others. So this has to is very tied with the empathy. When you are a good leader, you can see, for example, if your employee have some a good employee is down for some reason, So he will be empathic. He will think about what is going with the person. And believe me, a true leader will take care of that situation. So there are a lot of good examples, the true leader that go and are really empathic with the people. I remember, I'm going to put another example. When I was working in the oil and gas, I remember like maybe 20 years ago. Maybe 20 years ago, I had a boss. He was the CEO. I was the CFO at the moment of the company. And I had a boss that he was the CEO. I came very early in the morning to my work because, I decided to go very early and I read a newspaper. By that time was newspaper. No, there was no internet. This guy came every time in the morning. We had a building of 7 floors. And this guy went one by one, each floor, visiting the people, saying hello to the people. He took maybe 1 hour, half hour, going ups and down. He didn't stay too much. Only he jumped, say hello, and the people saw him. It was very common that guy doing that every morning during years. I really adopted that model. I love that model. So when I became a CEO, I did the same. I was doing the same. I began to do that the same. One day, I was in the middle of a meeting and there was going to jump a international contractor. We were having some international contract. And when the people of that company came, of the contractor, came, the CEO of the company was that guy. He was retired. He was retired on oil and gas, and he became a contractor. And when I saw that guy, I remember telling him, his name is Victor. I said, Victor, I always remember what you were doing 20 years ago. 20 years ago. And I told him that I really adopted that technique. And he told me it only took half hour. And that made you think about how the things were going. You can visualize if there are any issue in the environment. So this is really taking care of being intelligent emotionally. So this is a good leader has that empathy. And another thing that is important is a leader has to be inspiring. If you really want to be a true leader, you have to inspire your team. The true leader are those that really guide their teams and they are inspiring them. I don't know if you've seen those movies like Braveheart. That guy, he was in the middle of the battle in the front row with his people going there. That's a good leader. A good leader is in the front row, guiding the people, and he's, putting the people to go beyond. That is a leader that inspires their team. And a true leader is a collaborative leader, because a true leader first recognizes the difference. The leader knows that even he is the leader and the other could be their employee, but he understands the difference. And this is key. Let me tell you, this is very key. I learned that during my career because, as I said, I work with several cultures, several international cultures, but one of the things across the board that was important in all the organizations was that the people really, really, and a good leader recognizes the difference between among the others. No matter what your culture, no matter what religion, no matter what ethnicity you are, a true leader recognizes the difference. And this is what makes a true leader to be successful. A true leader avoids micromanagement. This is the terrible thing in a leader, be micromanagement. Can you be working with having a guy in the top of here, in their shoulder, looking what you're doing? No. So a true leader doesn't never micromanage. Never, never, never. And the opposite of the good leader is he promotes the delegation, because the real leader promotes the delegation. Most people think that if they delegate, they lose the control, and that's not right. A true leader delegates with control. How you can do it? Well, there are many ways. You can establish KPIs. You can have meeting rooms. You can have like one-on-one talkings. You have many ways. You have many ways. Following the with the example that I'm putting of the Japanese, they have something really great in their culture. They had these two things that I was talking, the wa and the wamashi, that is the harmony and the the collaboration of the people, but they always have like ambassadors. So in the Japanese culture, when you're in a company, the leader has always like an ambassador. That ambassador is the guy that is connecting with the people below. He's talking with the people, and this guy then goes to the leader and gives feedback of the people. So this is part of that recognizing of that, being transparent in the communication, not only in one way, being really transparent with them, because something important and that people really appreciate when the leader is transparent with the decision he's taking. So he's not only promoting the delegation, he's controlling, but he's also encouraging the people to be transparent. A real leader always is building trust and fostering open communication. So a company where you are building trust and you have open communication is a good company. So when you put all these tools together, then you have here a leader. And finally, to final with the leadership, a leader needs to be nurtured. He needs to be trained. A leader needs to have training and need to have education. And to be a true leader, not only you have to be educated, not only you have to be nurtured, you need to be mentored. You need to be coached. A true leader needs to have coaching because the leader doesn't have all the answers and somebody has to guide him. So that's why leaders have to have mentors and coaching like what we do there, we're coaching. And finally, that true leader needs to have feedback and self-reflection. So the leader not only is one way, he has to receive the other way the answer, and he's monitoring because as I said in the beginning, the leader has to have self-awareness. He has to recognize his strengths, but he has to recognize his weakness. And if you're weak in some areas, you have to recognize it. So you can make mistakes. The importance of the leader is have the sufficient resilience to bounce back and the mistake or the fail, whatever he's gone through, jump and go back. So when you have and you put all these tools together, my friends, you have a good leader. And then I'm gonna see some of the chat that we have there. So here we're finishing this session. I hope that when we put all these tools together, you really, really, really can see. So think today, if all what you heard today, how you feel being a leader. Do you think that you're doing applying all this technique or not? Or in contrary, if you're in a company that you're not a leader, but you have a leader, how he behaves? Does he follow these rules or he has to improve? And in your life, because this is something that is not only for a business, this is something for your life. You can be the leader in your family. You can be the leader for your kids. You can be the leader in your community. So in any way that you have to be in a position of leadership, think about all what we are talking. Apply these techniques because really, really they will help you. And I'm gonna leave here my contact. I'm gonna put in the chat room my contact, and because I have here my phone, my web page, my email, and my calendar. If anybody wants to contact me, we can have a small chat and we can continue talking about this. This is important that this is a appeal what we did today, to give the curiosity of the people, the deep dive in it. This is a very broad what we did today, but this is really, really important that you take in account. And finally, to conclude, as I explained in the beginning, I'm in a campaign promoting the book of my story because, as I said, we went through the situation that we were in the hostage situation after being 35 years in oil and gas. And today I'm a campaign promoting my book. And the way that we're promoting is that the people, I'm going to put there the link to the publicizer, and I'm going to give a free bonus for one of my coaching sessions that I talk about what we're doing today about overcoming adversities, how you can overcome adversities in your life and bounce back and be stronger in your business, in your personal life. I'm going to do a session that I'm going to give as a bonus to the people that go and purchase the book. So I'm going to leave the link there for that. And thank you very much for this attention. Let me go to the chats to see the comment. Here you have my webpage. If you want to know more about me, there is my webpage there. So going to the chats, if you want to make any question, somebody's saying here, a true leader must be mentored and coached. Yes, definitely yes. A true leader needs to be coached and need to be mentored. About it, and we say this. I'm gonna say that thank you to everybody to be attending. I'm gonna put this recorded to for those that some reason that today I received some message that the people couldn't go in because the LinkedIn had a problem. I don't know. I'm gonna check what happened. But anyhow, hearing me go to my LinkedIn, a newsletter where I'm gonna be talking about this topic, and I'm gonna be